All right, so we're gonna talk about what should you get, but I'm gonna lean towards one side because I already picked which one I'm going to talk about. So we're gonna figure out if you're a laptop person or a desktop person, and once you figure that out, you'll definitely know where to go. So if you like portability, then that's great for you. But the problem with laptops is that everything comes together and you only have one package. You can't really do much with it, except the greatest thing about it is portability. That's what you get from it. But let's talk about why a desktop is such a great thing. And I only really got introduced to desktops when I was with Dan. And that was the first time that I saw somebody with a desktop. Yeah, I guess he also had a laptop as well, but we should clear this out. You should get a desktop and a laptop together. Um, that way, you have the portability, but then you also have something at home that you can really sit down and do what you need to do with it. Because typically, a desktop is going to be more powerful than a laptop. Let's go through it real quick. So, the desktop is stationary. Um, like we said, the laptop is portable. So a desktop is stationary. It's something that you come home to and you're just like, all right, I'm gonna get some work done. You sit on your chair and not, like you're playing on it. You're not going to be sitting on your bed on your laptop. Some people do that. I'm telling you, it's great for some people, but a lot of people don't really do that. Like, or if you take your laptop to a cafe and you do your editing there, because I was going to say, um, my sister said this that the problem with getting a desktop and a laptop is that nobody has that much money to spend on one or the other. So typically you can get a desktop, go all out with it, save some money, and then you spend the rest on a laptop that's not as high end as your desktop is, but still gets minor work done. So like your workflow would change a little bit. You know, you can go to a coffee shop and do your work there, but instead of editing a video at the coffee shop, you can write the script at the coffee shop and then, you know, bring it around to where you need to now I need to go edit, so you go home and you start editing at home. You have a stationary place. That's what the desktop is used for. Um, like I said, the desktop is more powerful. So you'll be getting more bang for your buck when you go for a desktop. Like for a laptop, you have everything that's put together in a full package for you, and that's it. You can't really do anything else with it. So a desktop is more customizable when it comes to that point. And we're going to be focusing on Mac. We're going to be focusing on Apple, I should say. Um, Apple does have desktops. A lot of people don't even know if these people have desktops. They don't really mess with desktops. You know, like when you're in school, your parents most likely are going to buy you a laptop because it's just the go-to thing. Nobody really thinks about desktops. You know, desktop is for somebody that knows what they're doing and uh like the first time I saw somebody use a desktop was a programmer. So uh he programs different websites for different people. Like what he was working on was a board of education website and he was doing the coding for it. So he's a coder. He's not a programmer. He's a coder. So coding is a serious job. And for me to see him do his job on a desktop versus a laptop, it really made me look up to desktops and really want something that is stationary because that's how I usually work. See, I'm in my chair. I have my desktop running right here. And, you know, we're going to talk about Apple because they have a really great product. Most likely finish their products. Like I look at Apple and I think of them as a finished product. and I look at Windows and I see that as an unfinished product, Windows is something that you need to work on. Like if you, I think of it like this: Windows is like the Legos of the computer industry, because you're taking it apart. You're putting a new CPU in. You're taking out the RAM. You're upgrading the RAM. You're taking out the motherboard, or you get it all in pieces, just like Legos. Versus Apple, where they give you a finished product that you can work with. So the you basically get more money for you get more for your money with a desktop. You also need a constant power source. So typically with laptops, you would run out of battery. And let's say you run out of battery and you forget to charge it at night and you need to go to the cafe in the morning, and you're going to the cafe to edit your videos and whatnot, and you forget to plug it in. And then you need the cafe that you go at doesn't really have places for you to plug in your laptop. It's a lot to think about. So if you had a desktop and a separate laptop, you would be at home. You would most likely be using your desktop because you're at home, and why not? It's not like you're going to be. You see, I have my desktop right here and I have my TV right here. So even if I wanted to go downstairs into the living room and record, I mean, not record, but work on on my laptop and watch TV at the same time, you can do it at the stationary place. You can set up your stationary place. I have my desktop here, I have my TV here, just in case I want to watch some TV. Everything is in one spot, and it's more well thought out versus you're running to um you're running to the coffee shop and you're like, oh, did I forget to um charge my laptop? And hopefully if I get there, they have a charger port available for me to plug in my laptop. It's just a lot of work. So that's why I go with desktop. Desktops are vital. They're very important. Like, to be able to have a constant source of power, have a very customizable thing, you can have a lot of fun with the desktop. So I would say all those people with laptops, you should really give a desktop a try. So what do you need for the desktop? So when you go to the store, you're like, what the hell do I buy? The first thing that you're going to need is a screen. But let's go back a little bit. The first thing that you're going to need is the desktop. You're going to need the actual computer. You're going to need the computer. So if you're buying a desktop, this is the difference between buying a desktop and a laptop. You're going to need to buy all the pieces of the desktop. I know I said that Apple is like the complete product, but you still need to shop a little bit more. You need to think a little bit more when you get a desktop. So you get the desktop, and that will be anywhere from $600 to $1,400 if you want the higher end. And you can customize the desktop as you go up, and it's going to be cheaper than the laptop. It's always going to be cheaper than your laptop, and it's going to be more customizable than your laptop, because with a laptop you only get a 13-inch screen or a 15-inch screen. So with a desktop you can get a 27-inch screen. And I know that. So basically, here you can go big or small with this. You can go with Apple if you want to spend money, and if you're that type that only thinks through money, you can get their display, which starts at $15.99. So their display, this screen that you see right here, goes for $15.99. That's what Apple starts it off with. It's not a touch screen. It's just the fact that it's made for the Mac Mini. But you can get a 27-inch monitor for less than $200. The thing about Mac Mini is that they make you believe that not every monitor will work with it, but every monitor will work with it. So you can get anything you want. This is where customizability, I don't even know if that's a real word. This is where customizing comes into play. You don't have to spend $1,600 on a screen. You don't have to. You can just spend under $200. You can go to Costco, and Costco sells monitors under $200. They have 4K monitors. You can pick which one. But this is what I found when I went online and I was searching for a monitor for the Mac Mini. They made me think that there was only certain types of monitors that work with the Mac Mini. So I was like, I'm not spending the minimum that they wanted me to spend on a screen was like $600. They went through a list and they were like, this is what you should get for your Mac Mini. The cheapest one was, like I said, close to $600. And I was like, I'm not going to spend $600 on a screen. I'm going to go for the best one that I can find. So Costco had a sale on an MSI 27-inch a gaming monitor. So gaming monitors have higher refresh rates, and I was worried that it wouldn't work with my Mac Mini, but I went ahead and I bought it anyway. The screen goes for $200, but it was on sale for $150. So I spent $150 and I was just worrying. I was going back home. I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to work? And it worked perfectly fine. Mac reads the type of screen that you have, and I popped it up and it read everything perfect. It knew what type of screen I was using. It knew what the refresh rate was. It knew everything. It didn't need the monitor from Apple to work. It read everything. It knew what it was using. It knew the refresh rate. The refresh rate is what it is. It doesn't diminish or anything. So if you get a gaming monitor, if you get a regular monitor, if you get the Apple monitor, it's going to know what it's using and it's going to work. You don't have a problem with the monitor. So you can spend $150. You could spend $120. The cheapest monitor that Costco has is $120 for a 27-inch screen. You're not going to get that with a laptop. The biggest screen that you're going to get with a laptop is 15 inches. Actually, sorry, 16 inches if you go with the M4 Pro. So this is one thing that you don't have to get, but I highly recommend that you get this, is a backup battery for surge protection. This is just in case there's an outage, and if there is an outage, you have it plugged in and it's charging at the same time. When there's an outage, the battery backup comes on and it gives you time to shut off your products safely instead of it accidentally turning off while it's running, because that's one of the big things about desktop computers is that you don't know if there's going to be a power outage. So if there's a power outage, this one costs around $150. Real quick, real easy to set up. It has a bunch of different ports behind the back. You have 12 ports, so you can plug in everything that you need to plug in, plus your Mac Mini. You want to have that plugged into a backup battery power surge protection. I don't have it right now, and there was a quick outage. My dad was checking the panel for something like that, and he turned off all the power and he quickly turned it back on. My Mac Mini wasn't, the quickness of it didn't actually turn off my Mac Mini. My Mac Mini still ran through and it didn't suddenly shut off. But you got to understand that those power surges can destroy your desktop. So I want to quickly say that if you want Apple Care, just in case that does happen, and it should be fixable. It should go through Apple Care and they'll be like, okay, it went through a power surge failure, so we're gonna fix it up for you. I'm thinking that's what they do. And the price for a Mac Mini Apple Care is $34.49 for a year. $34.49 for a year. That is a steal. I don't know. I'm not sure how much it costs for laptops, but it's less than a phone. I know that I have a Samsung, and the Samsung Care Plus, just in case I spilled it, just in case it drops, screen cracks, it literally costs around $200 for 2 years. So for 2 years for the Apple Care for the Mac Mini, you're only paying $68, $70 versus a phone is gonna cost $200. The price difference is crazy. So if you want something that makes sense and you're on a budget, go ahead and get the Mac Mini. So you have the keyboard. I wanted the Apple keyboard with the fingerprint sensor, and you can play around with this as well. You don't have to get the fingerprint sensor, but I highly recommend it because it's great to use. If I want to sign in to my Mac Mini, all I have to do is put my finger on it and it opens up. I don't have to worry about the password. Make sure you hide that password somewhere because just in case. But you that costs $150. You don't have to spend $150 on the keyboard. This is for the small keyboard. It looks like this. So mine doesn't have the numeric pad. If you want the numeric pad, it's going to be a little bit more. It's going to be like 180. But I have a small setup here. And this setup is perfect with the keyboard. A small keyboard, that's all I need. So then you have the mouse is the last thing that you'll need. The mouse goes to $100 if you want to pay $100 for a mouse from Apple, but you can easily use a regular mouse that costs like $10. And if you want a Bluetooth mouse to keep open as many ports as you can, that can range from $10 to $15 if you're looking for it on Amazon. You can buy one real quick if you want. But if you want the Apple one, it goes for $100. Now, if you get the Apple one, they boast about the battery. So you have keyboards that only last for like 15 days. Apple keyboards last for a full month and a half. So, oh yeah, I should say the keyboard, you can spend $150 or you can spend $80 for a renewed keyboard from Amazon, and they look like new. There's nothing really wrong with it. It looks beautiful. It looks like new. It works great. The battery doesn't seem to be running out too fast. I've had it for how long, and so far it's at 70%, and I've had this plug in for about 2 weeks now. So this is a renewed keyboard from Amazon. Works great. So let's go with this little math that I have up here. So if you wanted the M4 Pro, the M4 Pro is the best chip that you can get with the Mac Mini until you go to Mac Studio. Mac Studio is a whole nother level, is a whole nother beast. I'm not even going to talk about that. We're going to stick to what I bought. This is what I bought. I bought the M4 Pro, and it starts at $13.99. So you're spending $1,400. If you wanted the M4 Pro from a laptop and you want a big screen, for example, this is like one of the biggest things about desktops is the screen. Like you want something that you can look at and have fun with. If you want a 16-inch screen with starting with the M4 Pro laptop version, it starts at $2,500. So already it's $1,000 markup from what you're getting. So the screen, $200, backup power surge, $150. A keyboard, I stuck it to $80 just to give you an idea of what you'll be getting. And the mouse at $100. Remember, the mouse, you do not need to spend that much. It comes out to $1,900. So you're spending $1,900 and you have everything that you need. Or if you're somebody that's on a budget and you're like, come on, bro, I don't have $2,000 to drop on a computer. Remember, like, you can use keyboards that you already have that's been sitting there from another desktop. You don't have to spend this much. But if you want a really cool setup, you want the fingerprint sensor, go ahead and spend $1,900. Or if you want to save money, you go with the base model. The base model starts at $600. So you get an M4 chip and it starts at $600 for the desktop. That's if you want to save money. The screen, you're going to be spending around $200 because you want that 27-inch, and the gaming monitor gives you a higher refresh rate if you want to play games on the Mac. I suggest you go for a $200 screen. You can go a little bit cheaper on the backup to $130, but Costco it didn't have it available, so that's why I went with the $150. But you can easily spend $130 for the backup power surge. You can spend $80 on the keyboard. The $80 keyboard is a renewed keyboard, but it's still Apple. Great product. The battery is not that bad. You would think that if you get a renewed product that the battery would be shot, but it's not shot. It's still pretty good. And then you have the mouse. You can go with a cheap mouse. You do not need to spend $100 on a mouse. I still have the pluggable mouse. I'm going to get a wireless mouse because I want to free up as much space on the ports as I can. Because you got to remember, Apple, it comes with 3 Thunderbolt ports and 2 regular ports, all USB-C. So you're going to be getting an extender for it. But let's keep it simple for this video. That comes out to $1,000. So if you wanted a 15-inch screen and you wanted the M4 chip, you will be spending $1,200 for the laptop version. So you would you would save around $200. And then if you want a webcam, because I forgot about the webcam, if you want a webcam, they start from $30. And then you can go up and up from there. That's where the customization comes in. So like I said, the 15-inch M4, that's the regular chip. For the laptop, $1,200. And then the 16-inch M4 Pro is $2,500 for the laptop version. So I went for the biggest bang for my buck. I went with the M4 Pro because I wanted something that can keep up with me. I like to open a lot of tabs. I like to record myself. I like to make videos. And if you want something that will demolish the competition, I went with the M4 Pro. But you can easily go for the M4 and you're only spending $1,000 for everything. Really good thing to look at. So that's what I would suggest. If you're looking for a laptop versus a desktop, really think about what a desktop can bring to the table. It can bring a lot to the table. The pricing difference didn't sound too big when I got to the M4 because it's only $1,000 for the Mac Mini. It's $1,000, and for the Mac Air book, I forgot what it's called, but the MacBook is gonna start off at $1,200. But it only has two Thunderbolts. It has a camera on it. That's great. Everybody wants a camera. It has 256 gigs of storage. So does the Mac Mini. The Mac Mini has 16 gigabyte memory, 256 gigabyte storage. You might want to put a little bit more storage on that, and then you'll reach that $1,200 mark as well. But you don't have the same screen. You don't have the customization portion of it. You can have fun with a desktop. Really recommend trying a desktop. You get more bang for your buck, customization, awesome specs. Really, you can have a lot of fun with a desktop. So I suggest looking for a desktop.